This is Hank the Hater, aka Lovely Larry, coming at you live on a Tuesday evening. I think it's Tuesday. Sweating my balls off in this mask and hoodie because it's very warm where I am right now. I got fired from my job this week, and I'm quite okay with it. It was like a bittersweet when I got the message. I was sick for about a week, and then coming up on the second week of being sick, told my boss I wasn't coming in, and then she texted and said, "This isn't going to work out," and I was like. And she said something about, she's like, I need to save spots for people who actually show up to work. And I was like, you know what? I'm sick, so I don't exactly know. And the weirdest, she asked for like a doctor's note. And I just think it's like the funniest thing still that we have to in today's day, like how expensive everything is for an employer to be like, I need a doctor's note. I was like, you think I don't want to work? Like, I am surviving right now. You think I can afford to take this time off? A week vacation? It hurt. That's the only part that hurt. I was like, man, some people, it's ridiculous. Then the audacity to be like, in the text, she's like, save spots for people to show up to work. And I was like, oh, I do. I do show up to work. I didn't work for a week because I was sick. Even got the doctor's note. So, bonkers. But on the bright side, if my boss is like that in the first place, I'm obviously quite happy that I'm not working there anymore. Because oh my. Like I've had quite a few jobs. I've worked at a bunch of places, and I'm like not a, I have post-secondary, and I'm just like I don't want to say like a grifter, a traveler. I've worked so many different jobs, and I just I have a bunch of experience with a bunch of jobs, and I enjoy meeting new people and all these things that comes with the new job and stuff. But I'm by no means trained to one thing. So I have one job I have to go look for every time I get laid off. Like if I get laid off or let go, usually seasonal work, and if it's the season dies, I'm like, okay, well, time to go find something else. It gets boring. I mean, it's as I get older here, I'm like, it's tiring. It's very tiring to do that. And so obviously, I'm at the stage of my life where I'm like, okay, it's time to maybe start hunkering down for something more stationary or consistent, or you know what I'm trying to say. And yeah, so anyways, what I'm trying to say is I've worked at a lot of jobs, and this job. So out of all the jobs I've had, this might have been one of the worst bosses I've ever had. Just so egotistical, and I mean it does happen. I mean, with some bosses, she had owned. I worked at a nursery, and she owned the nursery. She bought it for 30 years, and my God, was just an ass. She would kind of she knew things at the nursery because she's been there for 30 years, but she still acted like she knew more than she did. So she'd say a name. She's like, "Oh, that's fucking this. That's a fucking botanical name. Insert botanical name right here." And then I was like, "Oh, cool." And then we go look, and it's not that at all. And then she's like, "Oh, well, oh yeah, I know it's not that. It's that. I forgot." It's just yeah, God, you're embarrassing yourself. You don't have to know everything, especially with nurseries, and so that's with plants, not children, but with a nursery with plants and stuff. And we did shrubs and annuals and all this stuff, perennials. And so with botanical names, it's a different language. So I would almost never expect anyone to know all botanical names unless they're a fucking genius, or they've been doing it for a long time. Which I mean, so she's been doing this for a long time, so she should know. but I also wouldn't expect her to because it's like there's so many different names, and they're not like a normal name. I don't have an example. I thought I used to have like a little tag over here, but I don't know what happened to it. I'm not just looking around like I have something randomly. Um, but yeah, just super good. And so the one thing too is she was like a an ass to customers and employees, like an equal amount, which is bizarre. Like I don't think I ever see that. Like some of the bosses I've seen, like usually they're nice to some staff, or they pick their favorites, and they're mean to others, or they're nice to the employees. Employees come first, staff second. But she was an asshole to everybody. Someone would come in looking for something, and they'd say they're looking for something particular, like in their with plants, they have their botanical name, they have like their variety. There's like multiple names for each one that can describe it. And so sometimes if you do a variety, there's a variety of a plant, and there might be multiple varieties of it. And so they'll come in and say they're looking for the variety name because they don't know. That's why you come to a fucking nursery to ask these questions. And then you meet this fucking asshole who's just a dick back to you, and she's just like, you're saying like, oh, I'm looking for this variety. And she's like, what do you mean? What do you mean that variety? There's only a fucking million of them. What do you mean with that variety? Which one do you want? And the customers are like, fuck my fucking life. I should have just Googled it. And they, instead of like reading all this bullshit online about like, they're like, oh, we're lacking human touch. We're lacking communication. Get out there. Go talk to people. And you go and talk to someone. And you get this asshole who's just a dick to you. And you're like, oh, fuck my life. I'm going to go to Google. At least Google's not going to be an asshole to me. She was just such a prick about it. Also, funniest thing I realized working at this nursery is that a nursery is that of a skate shop to senior citizens and old ladies. So if you've ever been to maybe like a bougie, so I'm originally from Calgary, and fuck me, there's this place called Les 17 that used to be the Source Skateboards, turned into Les 17. Douchebags. And Douchebag Central. If you go in there, they're kind of like, so very like, and it's Calgary too, so they're trying to be Vancouver. And so it's like their impersonation of like people from, it's their impersonation of what they think something from Vancouver would look like, and they take it and put it in Calgary. And so it's like this high-end men's fashion store, and it's got like nice clothes, but you walk in there and they're usually like, they don't say anything. So and you just kind of like don't even talk to you, and then you'll ask a question, they're like, what? Yeah, what? Are you serious? And it's the exact same thing with the nursery. It's like you go in there and you just like ask a question, just being curious. They're like, oh, are you serious? You don't know that? So that's an observation I noticed. Just didn't know. And if you ever go to a nursery, you may also understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't know. It's just been a bizarre place. I've never worked in a nursery, so I was kind of happy to try it out for the first time here. Look at that little corner of my mustache. I don't have a Hitler mustache, I swear. There's more of it there. Just kind of looked when I went over. It looked like it was just stopping right there. I've never worked in a nursery before, and so I was excited to try it out. And it was fun. I think it would have been better if I worked with more people my age. Would have been nice instead of just all ladies over the age of 50. And yeah, I mean, like if I also cared more about like plants, I'm not like, I'm pretty indifferent about them. I enjoy gardening the odd time, but I'm not like I fucking love plants. Like yeah, they're very cool and convenient, and they I mean, trees help us breathe, and I understand all this stuff. Like they're important to the cycle, but I'm just saying like I'm not like a diehard. There's some diehard fans of plants there, and that's She always bragged about how she had surgeons come work for me, surgeons come work over here. So yeah, I don't know, it's a fun place. I definitely recommend anyone to try and work out in a nursery. I'm sure there's better ones out there. I don't doubt it. I had an awful owner of the place, and yeah, like I said, I think if you're like how I compare it to like a skate shop, I think they have this chip on their shoulder. Not all skate shops. There are good skate shops out there. That's just kind of like the easiest thing I can think about of. Unless 17 isn't even a skate shop, it just used to be a skate shop, and now they're just like there. Um, I think it's maybe the owners of the skate shop open it up. And I forgot what I was talking about. I'm sure it was important. And remember, that's exactly why I said it. Yeah. Okay. Well, if my brain short circuited, then I should probably stop filming. Bye.